gin joints in all the towns in all the world. She walks into mine.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
There's no crying in baseball.
You talking to me?
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You can't handle the truth.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hello and welcome again to the Old School Movie Club podcast. I am Sean Patterson, joined early in the morning, much earlier than usual, by my friend Kevin Levine. I rudely awoke him to do this podcast, and now he's here. We're doing the podcast.
Man,
Kevin, how you doing?
Well, I'm tired.
I mean, it's not that early. It's only 9, but it's a lot earlier than we usually go.
But I didn't go to sleep until 3, and I didn't. I'm not a deep sleeper.
Yeah. I was like texting. I was like, there's a class coming in to use the studio. We got to do this really quick. And I was hoping he'd just like wake up or something. I figured you were asleep. And it worked out.
Yeah, you're lucky my phone wasn't silenced.
Yeah.
But
Anyways.
Hey, the intro there was actually loud enough that I could hear it.
Oh, really? You could hear it? For the first time?
Not the first time.
Well, I mean, like for the first time on the phone.
Yeah, probably.
I'm wondering if it was just playing through my headphones so loud that's why you could hear it. But anyways, today we are talking about Die Hard. The first movie in our Christmas movie selection. And initial reaction to watching Die Hard, Kevin?
Initial reaction, it is a fun movie. That's all I really want to say so far.
All right, so fun movie. That's what I thought too. And another thing, I thought it was a lot better than I thought it was going into it. It ended up being a lot better than what I thought it was going into it. But you know, a really, really good action movie. And since we're talking about our Christmas movies, I'm gonna lead right into our first kind of topic for today. And is Die Hard like? Die Hard is considered by a lot to be a Christmas movie, but do you consider Die Hard a Christmas movie? Like, would you future Christmases, maybe like with a family or something, and then watch Die Hard as a Christmas movie?
100% absolutely not.
Okay. That's a good answer. Okay, so what's your reasoning behind that?
It is a movie that takes place on Christmas Eve, but it is not about Christmas itself. It doesn't really have any Christmas themes, other than maybe there's a little bit of a family theme to it, but that's just a kind of a typical Bruce Willis movie.
Yeah. This is like a popcorn movie that came out, you know, around Christmas time. And it just kind of turned into like a Christmas tradition, I think, for Die Hard. If I'm remembering this correctly, like all the Die Hards come out around Christmas time. So, but a lot of people do consider it as a Christmas movie, and I can see their point. Like, you know, Christmas, you've got family coming in, everyone sits down and watch a movie, but you couldn't even say this is a family movie.
No.
So
you couldn't if you had young kids, you couldn't get your entire family to sit down and watch this.
I mean, I get like if it was like an older family and they all sit down, they have a tradition of watching Die Hard on Christmas. But that doesn't make Die Hard a Christmas movie.
Like our families now could, since we're all adults.
Yeah, but that doesn't make Die Hard a Christmas movie. And it's cool that it takes place during Christmas Eve and they're at a Christmas party and that's where the whole thing happens. But it's just not, you know, I mean, and we both knew this going into it. It's not like White Christmas or whatever we're going to watch next week.
This isn't a whole, you know, Santa Claus and Christmas trees, and it's not a typical Christmas movie.
Yeah. But I mean,
not a Christmas movie.
That doesn't take away from the enjoyment of it at all. And
no,
segueing into our next little question and topic, because I think the Christmas movie thing was pretty clear. Like it's obviously not a Christmas movie, but it's kind of built up that reputation of being a Christmas movie, more of like a after the fact, you know? So moving on from that though, do you think that because I really, really like this action movie, and I haven't liked an action movie like this or seen an action movie like this in a long time. And maybe I'm just not seeing the right movies, but in your opinion, do they still make movies like this? And if they do not, then why? Like, why don't we see more movies like Die Hard? Because even for an action movie, there was a lot of character development. It was really, really good character development. The performances were amazing, like, on all accounts for me. So, like, why don't action movies get made like this anymore? Like, it's more of, like, the spectacle now, and much less about, like, the characters and stuff.
Well, this is where we're about to get real divided.
Okay.
Because I very much felt like Die Hard was a typical cliche action movie.
See, I don't know if it's... I can agree with, like, the cliche, but, like, the characters and stuff just felt way more, like,
the characters are a little more developed than in a typical action movie. And so, I mean, I'll give it that much, but outside of that, I mean, this film did really nothing special for me, other than Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman's characters.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, you guys know this from, like, listening to podcasts. I don't go see nearly as many movies as Kevin, and I mean, I don't really go see movies really at all in theaters, and I only see movies that really, really pique my interest. Like, you have to really, really grab me for me to actually take the time and go watch them. But, you know, what movies today, like, kind of do the same thing where it's not just, like... Because if you think of, like, the Mission Impossibles and stuff like that, or I guess, what's the most recent action movie that would be kind of close to Die Hard? Because Baby Driver is not, like, the same kind of thing, so... And I know you love Baby Driver, even though it was an action movie.
Yeah, well, I was like... Oh, Baby Driver's an action movie, but it's a very different
it's different
action film than
like,
Die Hard.
what would you compare Die Hard to today? Like, what is Die Hard really like today?
Well, there's one superhero action film that came out earlier this year that has far better, in my opinion, character development than this one does. And that's Logan.
Yeah, and I wasn't really thinking about superhero movies because most of the superhero movies are above a lot of things when it comes to, like, character development stuff. And I guess, like, I should be counting them because they are action movies at heart.
They are.
But like, this kind of genre, I guess, maybe, is what I'm trying to think of. Because I really, obviously, I mean, how much I'm talking about, I really, really like Die Hard. A lot more than I thought I was going to. And I really liked this style of action movie and not, like, these giant explosions. There was big explosions, but it wasn't like, this is why you're going to go see the movie, is like these special effects that we've got and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah, now I don't know what other films were coming out in '88 or what VFX looked like back then, but the VFX in this film are not a selling point.
No. And I mean, that's not, like, it's really cramped a lot of the time, and it's just, you know, an old school action movie, and I really, 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 really liked it. I just haven't seen an action movie like this in a long time.
Yeah, and the other thing for me is that I'm just not a huge fan of straight action films anyway.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, action films are, you know, they're fun little popcorn films. You know, we mentioned this one being a good popcorn flick, but I don't know, with action films, I need something more out of them. This one has a phenomenal villain. Phenomenal.
Yeah, and maybe we could take a second just to talk about Alan Rickman and how good he is at playing a villain. Just amazing.
Yeah, and, you know, we just discovered before going on air that this was Alan Rickman's first theatrical movie ever.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
and he turns in one of the most iconic villain performances in history.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, his villain could have been a really, really, really simple character if you think about it, because their whole plot was just to rob the place. But he just adds that, like, depth to it, and he has so much emotion in every single line that he gives. It's just It's a really, really great performance. And something that I was like, I kind of forgot that Alan Rickman was in the movie until I turned it on. I was like, oh, wait, Alan Rickman's the villain in this, isn't he? And then I saw it, and I was watching him. I was like, man, Alan Rickman is the boss.
Yeah, see, I also forgot that he's in this movie, and I saw his name come up in the opening credits. I was like, oh, yeah, he's in here. All right, it'll be fun to watch him. I forgot who he was playing, though. And then when I heard Hans Gruber's name, I was like, oh, that's this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very,
it was weird,
very
though. I spent the entire first act of this movie waiting for him to show up. And, of course, he looks far younger in this than he did in the Harry Potter films.
Yeah, and we, like, being our generation, like, the thing that we know Alan Rickman for, and he's a tremendous actor and has done a lot of great work, but the thing we probably most know him for is Harry Potter, of course, you know. And
it's Professor Snape.
It's Professor Snape, man. And, you know, even in those movies, he was a really great villain. And then, like, you could see why he was a great villain. Like, you said this is his first movie, and it was like, he's cementing the fact that he's just a great villain, like his first movie out of the gate.
Yeah, and, I mean, he went from... So Die Hard was in 88. The first Harry Potter film, I think, was 2001.
Yep.
So just in that 13-year span. Of course, makeup got a lot better, too, because they made him look a lot older in the Harry Potter movies than he was at the time of the first one coming out. And then, of course, as he went through life and aged, he became a little more, I don't know, the same age that Snape's character.
Iconic voice, too. I mean, like that. It's so good.
Yeah.
But anyways,
that's when I didn't recognize him visually when he first showed up in the movie, and then he talked. I was like, "Hey, that's Rickman."
Yeah, he did. Like, he had that like colored hair and stuff too. But so before we got into Alan Rickman's sidetrack, but so what do you think about the other performances here? Because I think Alan Rickman and Bruce Willis are obviously like the standouts here, and action movies aren't known for their performances usually. Like, it's a popcorn flick. You're just going there to see things blow up and see really cool action scenes and all that stuff. But I thought like this movie did a lot better than a lot with Bruce Willis is a really, really good actor. And he does a really, really good job being an action hero. And I kind of miss Bruce Willis as an action hero.
I mean, we still get him in some action movies, but not to this level.
We've also seen him in a span of 3 weeks in 2 different movies.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. I forgot about Pulp Fiction already.
Amazing.
Outside of Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman, I think my favorite character in this movie was Argyle, the limo driver.
Yeah, I think so too. He's just like a very, very, very small character, but you know,
he was the comedic relief.
Exactly. And I think this
I knew I was going to get a good laugh.
I think this movie is actually a lot funnier too. Like, I genuinely laughed multiple times throughout this movie, and I think that's another thing with this action movie. Like, you don't see that. Because some action movies today, like, they're just trying to be really serious, and they don't take themselves, like, lightly sometimes, like this movie kind of did at points. And this movie definitely dealt with, like, heavy stakes and big stakes, but it still, like, made a joke. And you had all the great, like, one-liners from Bruce Willis. So, I mean, like, it's just, like, it's a really great action movie. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up what we're talking about Die Hard. What's your final score on Die Hard?
My final score is going to be a 3.5 out of 5.
3.5 out of 5? I'm going...
Yeah.
Can you give me a little synopsis on your, like, just final review of Die Hard?
After now seeing it for the first time, I don't know. It has a lot of hype, I think. Well-deserved hype in some aspects, but for me, the film just doesn't hit on all cylinders. And again, you know, I'm not a huge action movie fan, so I might be a little biased there. But I don't know. I was waiting for that something extra special to happen to put it over the top and make it better than any other action film I've ever seen, and I didn't get that.
I don't think it's better than any other action film I've ever seen, but it's just like it was a breath of fresh air for me. I don't know. It was really good, and I think this is the second time ever that I'm going to give a movie a higher score than you. I think. I don't know. We'll have to go back and check, but I'm giving this a 4 out of 5. I just really, really enjoyed it, and for what it is, it's not going to be winning any Oscars or anything, obviously, but it's just like, this is a top-notch action film, and if you wanted like a fun action film to watch with, your friends or your adult family, don't let kids. Or I mean, if you're okay with it, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to watching kids watch it. It's just like language, I guess, but
it's funny that we kind of ripped on the visual effects a little bit, but it was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects.
I didn't rip on it. I just said it's not like in your face.
Right.
And I think that it's not supposed to be in your face. It's kind of like a more mellow action film, and it's just one guy against 12, so.
All of its Academy Award nominations were technical aspects of filmmaking, and that's fine.
But,
they were all sound effects and film editing and visual effects.
So for me, just breath of fresh air. I really enjoyed it, and for what it is, action movie. It's probably one of the better action movies I've seen, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
Yep.
All right, Kevin, what are we watching next week?
Well, we are watching a film that I've actually already had the chance to see in a theater over the past couple of days.
Oh yeah.
We will be watching the 1954 classic White Christmas.
So, Kevin, you sent an ominous text to me after you watched this film, and I'm gonna give us a little. I'm gonna give the audience a little preview of next week's episode. But Kevin was like, "Sean, I don't know if you're gonna like this one," and I was like, "Okay." I mean, I'm curious now, so I don't know. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's very heavy on the romantic comedy aspect. Very heavy on it.
Okay. I mean, like I said, we'll see, but just give you your 15-second preview of next week's episode. Like, what would you like a lot about it?
Oh, what? Why would I give a preview? We're gonna talk about it next week.
I know. I just tease them a little bit.
Tease them. It's always fun to watch and listen to Bing Crosby singing White Christmas.
Okay, there's the tease.
That does happen a couple times.
There you go. That's your tease for White Christmas. If you have not seen White Christmas, go ahead and watch it with us. Tune in next week. We'll be talking about it. Kevin, where can they find you?
You can find me at kevwatchthefilm.com, and all of my social media accounts are linked on there.
And you can follow the show at OldSkoolMovieSK on Twitter. All right, Kevin. I think that's it.
Go watch movies.
Go watch movies.